I want you to picture two seemingly unconnected figures in your mind right now.
Okay.
So on one hand, you have Sanna Marin, right?
Yeah.
The trailblazing, leather jacket wearing former Prime Minister of Finland.
Right, yeah.
And then on the other hand, you have Victoria Neuman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the morally ambiguous, aggressively pragmatic, literal, head-popping politician from that superhero satire show, The Boys.
It's it's quite the visual contrast, honestly. Like you've got this real-world symbol of, progressive millennial leadership right next to a literal comic book villain who's navigating this whole universe of corrupt superheroes.
Exactly. And usually putting those two names in the same sentence feels like, I don't know, a weird pop culture association game.
Yeah, totally.
But today we're unpacking a really fascinating piece of political and cultural analysis from our sources that, well, it actually puts these two figures side by side. And the goal of this deep dive is to explore what the sources call the outsider to establishment pipeline.
Right, which is just a fascinating concept.
It really is. We're looking at how the modern political aesthetic might actually be utilized to, mask a pivot toward global elite structures.
Yeah, and before we really get into it, we should probably tell you listening that the sources we're unpacking today, they pull absolutely no punches.
Oh, right at all.
Yeah, they level some really heavy politically charged critiques at both traditional left-wing progressive branding and right-wing corporate neoliberalism.
Right, and we need to be crystal clear here. We are not taking a side, right? We aren't endorsing any of these political views. We are strictly unpacking these honestly fascinating parallels and critiques presented in the source text just as an analytical exercise. Because the mission today is to uncover whether modern progressive branding is sometimes just, well, a cover for neoliberal integration.
Yeah, like what actually happens when an anti-establishment icon joins the high table?
Yes. So to understand the ultimate pivot both of these figures make, I think we first have to look at how they built their brands on being the ultimate outsiders.
Right, and that's where the Victoria Neuman parallel sets the structural stage so well. I mean, if you look at Neumann's initial rise in The Boys,
She comes out swinging.
she really does. Her entire brand is built on this fierce, unapologetic opposition. She campaigns on transparency, right? She's presented as this relatable mother.
Yeah, the anti-corporate firebrand.
Exactly. She is completely unafraid to take on the suits at Vought International. She's like the breath of fresh air in a room full of stagnant corporate greed.
The plucky underdog fighting the system.
Hmm.
And drawing the parallel to Sanna Marin, well, that's where the geopolitical reality actually mirrors the fiction.
It really does. Look at Marin's reality when she burst onto the global scene. I mean, she became the world's youngest prime minister.
Right.
She was raised in a rainbow family. She's a vegetarian, and she heavily focused her platform on, climate change and digital rights.
Yeah. Yeah, in a global landscape full of these aging traditional populists, she was basically the ultimate symbol of anti-authoritarian youth.
And the sources refer to this as the aesthetic of authenticity.
Ooh, I like that term.
Right. And we need to unpack how that functions as a political weapon, essentially. It wasn't just her policy platform. It was how she presented herself to the world.
Because it bypasses traditional scrutiny.
Exactly. It signals to the electorate that she isn't a politician at all, She's one of them.
Yeah, the aesthetic was completely weaponized. We were talking about the ultimate cool girl brand here.
Oh, totally.
She wore leather jackets, she went to heavy metal music festivals, and she curated this, party sauna persona that went completely viral on social media.
She looked and acted like someone you would genuinely just hang out with on a weekend.
Right, but it makes me think. It's kind of like buying a punk rock t-shirt at, a massive corporate department store.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Right. It screams, I am not one of them, but who actually manufactured it? Which makes me want to ask you, do these sources think this relatability was just a lifestyle choice, or was it a calculated political weapon?
Well, the sources argue that this aesthetic, whether it started organically or not, it became the ultimate cover.
The cover for what?
Well, the critique is that once the election ended, Marin didn't stay in the trenches of the Finnish parliament to fight for the people who voted for her.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she transitioned seamlessly into the global elite, exactly like Neumann in the show.
Because Neumann secretly works with Homelander to secure a vice presidency.
Exactly. She is the hidden hand of the institution she claimed to fight. And the sources argue Marin made a similar leap, moving from a grassroots activist image straight into a really high-ranking global advisory role.
But wait, if their true goals were establishment integration, how did they hide it from the public? Because that requires a massive distraction.
It does. And that leads directly to what the sources call the scandal as distraction strategy, or, burying the lead.
Right, the smoke screen of personality.
Exactly. In The Boys, Neuman is engaged in horrific systemic corruption and, well, literal head-popping violence.
Yeah, super casual.
Right. But the show handles it by constantly burying those massive scandals under PR spin. They deflect by running these humanizing stories about her being a mother.
Or framing her as the only one fighting the good fight.
Exactly. The noise of the narrative distracts from the reality of her actions.
So the media ecosystem thrives on personality over policy.
Yeah.
And the Finnish parallel to this has to be the media's absolute obsession with Sanna Marin's personal life.
Oh, 100%. The leaked videos of her partying, dancing with her friends.
The endless debates about her lifestyle.
It consumed the global discourse around her for months. It was a total global media circus.
But wait, let me push back on that for a second.
Right.
Weren't a lot of those critiques just, frankly, unfair attacks on a young woman having fun? I mean, didn't she have a right to a personal life? There was so much misogyny mixed in there.
Oh, absolutely. And the sources acknowledge that. The defense of her personal life is entirely valid on a human level. The misogyny was very real.
Right.
But the political critique focuses on the functional outcome of that media circus.
What do you mean?
Well, while everyone was fiercely debating her right to dance, the personality discourse got so loud that the policy was basically ignored.
Ah, I see. So while we were arguing about clubbing, we weren't looking at the ledger.
Precisely. Specifically, less focus was placed on her government's massive increase in public debt.
Oh, wow.
And, more importantly for our pipeline discussion, the constant focus on her authentic personality masked the revolving door she was quietly building for her post-PM career.
So the smokescreen eventually clears, and that's when the true pivot happens.
Exactly.
Let's look at what happened when Marin actually lost power. Because the timeline of her exit is incredibly abrupt for you listening.
It really is. Walk us through it.
Okay, so she loses the 2023 election. Right. Almost immediately, she resigns as the leader of her political party. But she had just been elected as a member of parliament by her local constituents.
Which is a huge mandate from the voters.
Exactly. And yet, shortly after being elected to that seat, she abruptly leaves parliament altogether.
Yeah.
The sources point out that the local discourse in Finland really felt like this was a scam, like a bait and switch.
And political science provides a very clear term for this. The revolving door.
The revolving door.
Right. It's when you trade democratic accountability, like serving the voters who literally just elected you, for privatized global influence.
Which brings up a really compelling contrast with another character from The Boys, Queen Maeve.
Oh, the Maeve contrast is vital here.
Because Maeve was part of the corrupt system, right? She was inside bought, but she got completely disillusioned. She fought the corrupt system from the inside, and ultimately, she quietly sacrificed herself to stop it. She walked away.
Right. She subverted the system, but the expert analysis from the sources is very clear. Sanna Marin isn't Queen Maeve.
Because she didn't walk away.
Exactly. She didn't go into hiding or fight the system from the outside. She moved from the public sector directly into what analysts call the shadow state of global consultancies.
The shadow state.
Yeah. She didn't want to burn Vought down. She wanted to be the person managing it.
Wow. So where exactly did she go to manage things from the shadows?
Well, that would be the Tony Blair Institute, or TBI.
Right. And the sources basically compare TBI to a real-world Vought department. Right.
And absolutely.
Yeah.
They see it as the ultimate establishment bridge.
Because Marin became a global strategic advisor for TBI, advising world leaders on governance.
Yeah.
And the irony here is just massive.
It really is.
You have a progressive social democrat joining an institute known for third-way neoliberalism.
Yeah, the very system that progressives often blame for modern inequality.
It's wild. And the sources connect Tony Blair directly to Stan Edgar from The Boys.
Right, the CEO of Vought.
Because Blair is this master of backroom deals and international power brokering.
Yeah, the sources argue that Marin taking a job with Blair is likened to Neuman taking a private meeting at Vought Tower.
And we really have to detail the specific controversies surrounding TBI that the sources bring up because it paints a stark picture.
Yeah, the critiques of TBI are intense. First, there's the questionable funding.
Right, they advise and take money from authoritarian regimes like Saudi Arabia and Rwanda.
Which is a huge contradiction for someone championing human rights. And then there's what the sources called the Gaza Riviera.
Yeah, this was shocking to read.
There were reports that TBI staff discussed the quote-unquote voluntary resettlement of Palestinians.
A massive contradiction to Marin's brand.
Absolutely. And it all points to this ideological fluidity. TBI maintains proximity to power regardless of ideology. They even built bridges to the Trump administration.
So it's not about left or right. It's just about being near the crown.
Exactly. But to be fair, we must inject Marin's side of the story here.
Right, her defense. She argues that TBI allows her to fight for democracy and technology on a massive global scale. A scale that the Finnish parliament simply couldn't offer her.
And that's the classic defense of integration. I can change the system from within. But the synthesis of this critique, the real so what here,
Yeah.
it points out the ultimate Neumann danger. It's not about having a side. It's about having a goal. The critique asks this. If you spend your career fighting the way things are, and then immediately join the architect of the way things are.
Were you ever really an outsider?
Exactly. Were you ever an outsider to begin with?
That cuts right to the bone of the whole outsider aesthetic. So to bring it all back to you listening, the pattern is really clear here. Both Marin and Neumann figured out that the most effective way to protect the establishment
Is to look like you're trying to destroy it.
Exactly. It's wild that a superhero show perfectly mirrors a very real political pipeline.
It really leaves you with a final question to ponder. Is this influencer to consultant pipeline the new standard for young political leaders everywhere?
Or was Sanna Marin just a unique case because of her massive fame?
Right, like what should we look out for the next time a politician sells us an outsider aesthetic?
It's definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the narratives behind the aesthetics. And remember, just because someone is wearing a punk rock t-shirt doesn't mean they aren't working for the corporation that sold it.